All right, now we have a connection that we can test. We have a sales connection that is connecting to a Postgres instance, and we can see the connection checks out. At this point, we can go ahead and create a new dashboard. So let's do that. We're going to name this dashboard as a demo dashboard, like so. And once you open up the dashboard, we can now reference the connection we had created. So when you add the connection, you can see there are two ways you can access the data. One is the direct source, which is what we've done so far, which is being able to select the Postgres connection. You have to select the database, and then you have to select the schema, and then you can see the tables which you can add and access. However, there is a different way you can achieve this. When you're exposing datasets for the end users or your tenants, you ideally don't want to expose the entire database, including all the schemas, because those databases may have tables that are not relevant to what customers would want to query and report insights off of. So that's why we want to take a different approach. So instead of creating a dashboard against a direct data source, we would in fact create a semantic domain that allows us to attach definitions to column names and tables. So it's easier for people to interpret what those technical columns mean when they access within Semaphor. So right now we don't have anything in the semantic domain because we haven't created any. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's head over to the demo project. Now let's create a semantic domain. Now before we create semantic domain, let's quickly discuss what they are. A semantic domain allows you to group certain data sets, pure tables, into their logical categories, making it easier for your users when they're trying to find the data. It allows you to have a better access control, so you can say these are the set of tables we want to expose, and these are the fields within those tables that should be accessible to the user. It also allows you to group related tables within a domain. So you could have a set of tables that speak to the sales domain, or a set of tables that speak to purchasing domain. So you can create these different conceptual domains within Semaphor and associate your tables or your data sets. So it's easier for the end users to pick and choose the domains they want to analyze or report insights on. Now let's go ahead and do that. We're going to do an add domain here, and we're going to name this as SalesAnalytics, like so. And we're going to provide it a display label, SalesAnalytics. This is sales data as a sample description, and go ahead and create the domain. Now once you've created the domain, you can view the domain, and right now we don't have any data sets in there. So what we'll do next is we'll add the data set to the domain. So we're going to pick our sales connection, the Postgres connection that we just established. We're going to pick the database and the schema, and we're going to pick the table. So this is the table that we want it to be part of this domain. And we're going to say we will auto-generate the field names and descriptions. So we can go ahead and add this data set. What Semaphor will do is Semaphor will first look at the metadata of the table and generate descriptions for them. So when we expand the table, as you can notice, we have the names and also the descriptions associated with those columns. At this point, you can choose to select or deselect certain fields based on your business requirements. So for example, I would say perhaps I don't want the discount field to be available for my end users, so I can delete that field. I can also change the description of each one of the fields as to how they should appear to the user when they are trying to analyze the data. You can do all sorts of changes here before you approve your data set to be a finished data set. And once you are done adding multiple data sets, you can hit save. That saves domain. At this point, we can go back to the demo dashboard we had created, and we can use this semantic data set way of creating the dashboard. So instead of going to direct source, we will now pick a semantic domain, and we'll pick SalesAnalytics, and within there we're going to pick sales data and add. So what you will see now is when we hover over the field names, we have a nice description that informs the user as to what that field actually means in business terms. And from here, we can create charts and we can save those charts into a dashboard. Once you're satisfied with the dashboard, the next step now is to integrate this into your application. In the next video, we'll take a look at how you can take a dashboard you've built and render that inside of your app as a self-service experience.